where is this week going? Let me grab my water here. So I'm coming on today. Well, one, thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to talk about aging in place. And those who follow me may already know that my grandmother, Nana, passed away on October 1st, and I was one of her main caregivers. So we started this process to launch our own home care agency because we understood the mission here. One, because we could not find good, reliable home care agencies, only a few. And we knew how important it was to be able to give my Nana the best care. So my grandma passed away on October 1st, and the agency was licensed the same month. Actually, the same day as my birthday, October 24th. How amazing is that? So what I'm going to be doing every week is coming on. I'm going to make it Wednesdays. That's my goal, to come on and just walk you through so you can understand like what home care is, because you may be looking for a home care agency for your loved one. And so home care is not only for seniors. Home care could be for children. It could be for adults who may have had an injury or may have had delivery of a newborn baby or may need some support in the house, right? And mostly we specialize in seniors. So the goal here is to keep your loved one out of the hospital. So I'm going to talk to you today about aging in place. Again, we do have I'll put the link to the website down below, okay? And then finding the right agency is really important. If you follow me, you may have seen some of the videos where we went through several and they were just, the agencies were not following the care plan. My grandma was like, this is not going to work. So this information is based on our experience. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, so today we're going to talk about from my experience, sometimes a hospital, the case managers, case workers are not clear on what is home care. I'm not mentioning any names, but I had to literally go up to the hospital in Maryland, make multiple phone calls, multiple emails to explain what home care was or what it is for my grandmother when she was at the hospital. They were working on discharging her, okay? So you're tuning in, let me know where you're tuning in from, what city, what state, and if you are in fact looking for home care for your loved one. All right, so you're gonna learn how seniors can stay home safely and independently, because that's ultimately what my grandmother wanted. She did not want to go to no home, no rehab, none of that, okay? And then what services are available for your loved one, and then how to choose the best home care that meets your needs. And then also like how to identify red flags early. Like I explained to you, my grandma was like, this is not going to work. From day one, the first agency we found, like I think I signed the contract and everything, and we did like one day. It was like, it's not going to work. So just knowing those red flags. And then lastly, how we can support you if you're here in Maryland. But if you're not here in Maryland, that is okay. You can take the information and use it wherever state you are, right? For personal knowledge. All right, so why does this matter? It matters because most seniors want to stay at home, right? They don't want to be in a hospital. They don't want to be in a rehabilitation center. They don't want to be in assisted living. They want to remain home. Sorry, I'm getting messages like, stay focused. Okay. And most importantly, planning early helps avoid crisis situations. And that is so important. So the minute I knew that my grandma needed home care, I was online looking, like multiple agencies. I emailed, I called because it was urgent. So my recommendation is to look early and make phone calls to make sure the agency actually meets with the criteria that you're looking for, okay? And so we already know what age in place means. It means you could stay at your own home. You don't have to go to assisted living. You don't have to go to a rehab. You can stay at home, right? So we're home care. We are non-medical. Two types. Home care, non-medical, meaning we provide services. I'll get into that, but it's non-medical, where you have home health, which is skilled care, which is like a physical therapist coming out, So that's the difference. I want to make sure we're clear on that. Wait, my business cards fell. Hold on. I know that. All right. So again, our mission, I started this process over a year ago with the mission to provide quality home care to seniors, to adults, to whoever needs the support. That means clear communication, following the care plan. It means that it's not doing things outside the care plan, right? Holding the staff and the agency accountable for what they were hired for. And that is our mission. Clear communication is so important. And following that care plan. All right, so basically I went over my journey with my grandmother. No one ever talked to us about home care. It was only daycare, right? Like for my kids or whatever. I never even heard of home care. It wasn't until my grandmother was in and out the hospital, and she was 84, I think, when she passed. So she was in and out the hospital. And it was clear, they said that she's gonna need some support. And I worked, her sister worked, everyone was busy. So give me a 1 in the chat if you can relate that you may need home care for your loved one, but everyone is busy. Working, commitments, meetings, traveling, like you name it, people were busy. And we know we needed to do something because Nana needed someone at home and she didn't want to go to rehab. And when she did, she came right back home. At least one of those times. I won't get into it, but anyways, okay. And so what to look for when you're looking for your home care, non-medical. So listen up, take some notes. Make sure they are licensed in the state of Maryland. They will have a license number, just like we do, okay? So if you're tracking me, put it in the comments. Confirm they have a Maryland license number. Confirm that their staff undergoes a background check, that they're trained CPR, first aid. They understand that the equipment that your loved one may need, that they understand how to utilize that. Nebulizer, chairlift, BiPAP machine. So there are some things that the caregiver may not know, but the agency director or the nurse that oversees them should know how to use these equipment. Sometimes the family does help. We helped the caregiver and director understand, but again, there is a registered nurse that comes out for the initial assessment to ensure that the agency can even provide care for the individual, okay? Strong communication and reliability, because that is crucial. There were a couple of instances where we were looking for the caregiver, 30 minutes passed, an hour. Oh, we got a text message, caregiver can't come. Now, we understand that emergencies do come, but we expect, and you should expect, clear communication, okay? Clear care plan, which should be in a folder or a binder that is accessible. So we can make sure that the caregiver has access to the care plan and that the family does as well. So there won't be any excuses. And that the caregivers stay within the scope of work, right? Meaning that if they are transporting your loved one to an appointment, that is where they go and they bring them right back home, unless there's different information in that care plan. Make sure. If you need like dementia or, support with memory, ensuring that they have some kind of support with that, because from my experience, my Nana needed more patience. She had like short-term memory. She would remember most things, but there were days where she just totally forgot. She would ask the same question like over and over. I'm like, Nana. So making sure that the agency has some experience working with the individual with that with that particular need. Making sure that the company has backup support and ensuring that you have backup support too, because sometimes the agency may not have anyone to come in. We expect them to. Emergencies do come. But the reality of it is have a backup system and ensure the agency communicates that early, where you're not waiting and you have to cancel your appointment because no one came. Okay, I get a little emotional with that because we went through that. All right, so you might be wondering, like, what is a residential service agency, which is also known as a RSA? Okay. So we're licensed in the state of Maryland for non-medical, meaning that we can help with daily life activities. I mentioned before, transporting to appointments, preparing meals, or light organization like housekeeping, things like that. And if you need support like with bathing, getting dressed, transport from the chair to the wheelchair, things like that, okay? So there's a difference. And make sure that the agency understands the Code of Maryland regulations called COMAR. That is proper staffing training, all right? Documentation and reporting, that they have forms for incidents. They're tracking daily progress. The tasks that were completed in a day that is tracked, because that's going to be needed for quality assurance to make sure that we are doing our job and for accountability. The care plan is compliant and, like I mentioned, quality assurance oversight. It is really important to have paperwork. If you don't have paperwork, something's wrong, okay? All right, so I mentioned home care services. We have personal care, I mentioned before. You would have a certified nursing assistant, CNA, and that's like hands-on. And non-certified, which is like a caregiver, meaning that we still can provide services, it's just no hands-on, no help with like getting dressed, none of that, but we definitely support with meal prep, cleaning, light housekeeping, running errands for you, taking you to your appointment in the local area, not driving 15 minutes away, none of that, okay? All right? And like make sure that the agency has like a checklist, right? For any transport, meaning that the caregiver has insurance, the client has insurance, for auto insurance, right? Making sure there's a checklist that the tires are good, wipers work, like all of that. It's really important. I mentioned memory care, light housekeeping, laundry, transportation to appointments and events, right? Respite care for family caregivers. Respite is really important because from our experience, we needed someone to come in to support, to give us a break. So respite is really important. We even created a 10-hour trial package where you can get to experience the kind of care that we provide for caregivers, for our clients. All right, so I'm gonna go over like more examples in case you're not clear. So let me know if you have any questions in the chat. Again, where you're checking in from. If you're watching on replay, let me know. All right, so personal care services are provided by a certified nursing assistant, right? I mentioned before that even before the care is started, a registered nurse is required to come out for initial assessment, and there is a fee for that, right? Home care is an investment, so there is a fee. Sometimes you can use your insurance if that is in the benefit, check your benefits. And sometimes like life insurance, what is it called? Living benefits may cover it as well, but there is an initial fee for the nurse to come out to do the assessment, okay? So CNAs, certified nursing assistants, provides bathing and grooming assistance, like I said before, getting dressed, using the restroom if they need to, mobility and safe transfers, monitoring for any changes in conditions, like keeping that chart, that log when you have medication reminders, were there any like reactions, like things like that, okay? And just supporting with daily routines and safety, all right? So at our agency, we don't administer the medication, we only provide reminders, all right? Meaning we're gonna give you a verbal reminder. Hey Kiva, not hey Kiva, no. Miss Kiva, take your medication. We're not gonna be having the medication, putting it in your hand, none of that, okay? All right, so Companion care, reminder medications, right? Social interaction that is always needed, where you may like have activities, play games like bingo, just keep that interaction. Sorry about that. Housekeeping, meal preparation, just reminders, right? Like helping around the house, but just no hands on. All right, so we can do it all. Taking the trash out, all those things. All right, so the companion caregiver cannot lift, transfer, or reposition the client, right? Remember that. The caregiver cannot. The caregiver cannot push wheelchairs, right? The certified nursing assistant can. So when we do the initial intake, the initial call, when you call, we'll be asking all those questions because that determines what kind of caregiver you are assigned, right? Whether it's a CNA, a caregiver, companion caregiver, okay? All right, so I mentioned before that our agency, we help transport to your doctor's appointments, where we can help you run errands, pharmacy pickups, but again, it must be in town. And I mentioned before, the caregiver will complete a vehicle safety inspection before the trip. And we must have 48 hours advance notice of where the transport will happen. We're not going to find the day on, okay? We need to be prepared in advance, okay? All right. All right, and so caregivers, whether it's a CNA, caregiver, or a companion caregiver, are not permitted at all to handle any cash, credit card, whatsoever, or any personal financial business matters. So if we're picking up medication, it should already have been paid for. If we're picking up groceries, it should already have been paid for, okay? Very clear on that. So we were in the process, right, of finding care for my grandmother, and we were debating, is assisted living better for her or is home care? Right, because assisted living, she's moving into a home which she did not want, and she was very clear. All right, let me get some water. She was very clear on what she wanted. So assisted living was out of the question. My grandma wanted an aged home, and honestly, she was happier. She pushed every day until her passing. So basically, assisted living, this is like a rough approximate estimate, at least from my research, can run between $6,000 to $8,000 per month. Whereas if you have home care, you get to decide based on your needs how much support you need for your loved one, right? It could be the 10-hour package I talked about a week, right? Which could range about $400 a week. It just depends on what kind of support you know that you need for your loved one. So when the initial assessment's done, it's important for the client or family member to be really clear on the kind of care that is needed, all right? So when you stay assisted living, you have many residents, but when you are home, you get to control that. That is the difference. All right, so even though you have set routines and schedules at the assisted living, at home, you can have the same, but you get to create those, right? Where assisted living, you may have lunch at 12 o'clock, it's served. But at home, I can give my nana her lunch at 1 o'clock or 11. It just depends, right? So you have flexibility when you are home. When you are assisted living, you have very limited one-on-one engagement, right? But when you're home, you get your personal caregiver, whether it's CNA or whether it's like a companion caregiver. So you get to control that. All right. And so when you're in assisted living, you have more residents, more people, right? Which may expose you to, germs. I mean, germs are everywhere, but at least when you're home, you can kind of clean up more, limit visitors, things like that. So, all right. So when you're home, reduce stress. I did see that with my grandmother. She was happy. And then the family stays involved. Like, I was over there maybe like 2-3 days a week, and it was just brought me so much joy to get her up in the morning. I was like, Nana, time to get up. And she'd be like, Kiva, can I rest? I'm like, nope, it's time to get up. So I would give her like 5 or 10 more minutes. But yeah, we set routines because my Nana needed a routine. All right. The bottom line here is that home care offers individual support, which you usually cannot get from assisted living because it's like a lot of residents in that facility. Home care allowed my grandma to be home, to live longer, to have happiness with her grandkids and great grandkids around. She even was able to live with us for like 45 days. That was quite interesting. Some great memories. And so that brought me joy to be able to see my grandma was happy. When she was at rehab, she's like, Kiva, just get me out of here. All I need is a bed and a bathroom. It's exactly what we did. So we moved the classroom. I moved the classroom upstairs, made that big room downstairs, my grandma's room. We were able to get a prescription for a hospital bed. We got that. We were able to get her oxygen tank from home to my house. We were able to get some what do you call it? Equipment, like the portable toilet thing, walker. Like, we were able to get so much equipment. So that brings me joy. So we know firsthand on what the clients need and desire, right? All right, so, all right. And so how we can help. Like I said, we're licensed in Maryland. We are servicing right now Howard County, Anne Arundel County, Prince George's County, and parts of Montgomery County right now. And it brings me so much joy to be able to serve the community the way I serve my grandma, and just to teach and educate the community on our experience. So this is our experience. You may have a different one, but I'm taking what we learned and sharing it so you don't have to go to the same thing, and that it doesn't have to be our home care agency you pick. It could be anyone, but just make sure that you are asking the right questions so that you will pick the right one, okay? All right, so what we offer, I mentioned before, like all throughout this presentation, is that we offer home care we have personal care, which is like hands-on, which is done by the certified nursing assistant, CNA. And then we have companion caregivers, which provides no hands-on, but still make an impact. Like I mentioned before, like housekeeping, medication reminders, organization around the house, transportation services to events in town, to appointments, going shopping, doing all those things that may be needed for your loved one. All right, and a big one. It's really important for quality assurance and compliance. So we do spot checks in the field, meaning we go out on a regular basis to ensure that the client doesn't have any questions or concerns. And if they do, we have a form where they can submit. We check on the caregivers to make sure that they're fully equipped, don't have any questions. And so we have a survey that's done quarterly as well. So we can make sure that we're meeting the needs and hear feedback. That's really important. And I don't think we got any surveys. Just saying. And so, like I said, we offer a 10-hour starter package because we want to make sure that you get to experience the kind of care we provide. And if it isn't a good match, we can part ways, right? You're not locked into a contract. All right. So who this is for? I mentioned this is for if you have a child, adult, or a senior, right? We can provide those services. We specialize in senior because this business is dedicated to my grandma, and she was a senior. You know, and I have four children, and so I know after delivery, I need support. So this is for moms, new parents too, who may need some support with organization of the house, nursery, prepping bottles, like all those, like it's just, so I just get excited about that. All right, and so young adults too, my son injured his ACL. I transported him to his appointment. That is home care, right? He needed assistance. All right, so basically I'm gonna conclude with, if you are interested in learning more about the service we provide, you wanna talk offline, I will put the links out in the show notes. But again, we are servicing Maryland, we are servicing Howard County, Prince George's County, Anne Arundel County, and parts of Montgomery County as of right now. If you have any questions, put them in the show notes comments below. I will respond as quickly as I can. But thank you for joining. Home care is really important and is not only for seniors, but it does allow seniors to age in place and to stay out of the hospital. All right, so like, subscribe, and share this video. And like I said, I'll come on weekly to share more knowledge, right? It's really important. All right, that's it for now, guys. Have an amazing day.